Salutations, Utopians. Monday motivating day, hopefully for everybody here, okay? Um, Wanted to chime in a little bit on this topic on KD and the Phoenix Suns getting swept. Um, Listen, first and foremost, KD didn't get swept. The rest of the crew did. He gave them 33, was it, yesterday? And overall in the series, he did his thing. Long story short, we don't got to get into number crunching. There's plenty of that where I'm about to go with this. But first off, let me be clear. I don't think I'm any kind of Nostradamus, or I don't have any plugs or media sources for what I'm about to say. But this experiment in Phoenix, they're looking like Frank Vogel's gonna get scapegoated. You can go to my Twitter X page, global GL, the number 8 BAL_sports, where I discussed going into the playoffs. This doesn't look right. Frank Vogel needs to make a game-changing move to establish his authority on this roster. He needs to put his identity on this roster. And unfortunately, they rolled in there like a creaky old wagon that they are. First and foremost, everything has to start with the offseason. The Ishbia brothers, Michigan real estate group, bought the Phoenix Suns. They were extremely proactive, as the owner, as proactive as you can ask your owners to be. They've done some amazing things. They're bringing a G League development team to the Phoenix Suns. They revved up the Ring of Honor for the Phoenix Suns, paying homage to guys like Sean Marion, The Matrix, and Amari Stoudemire, most notably, doing some jersey changing, giving the locals free access to watching the games by giving out antennas. I want to be very clear. They are a great ownership group. And I want to say that, but the reports are, one, that the locker room had been disconnected from Frank Vogel, which I think is unfortunate because Frank Vogel has ended up in two situations now where you're just kind of there. It's by no means any accurate depiction of the level of coach that he is. The guy you seen with Indiana is more closely correlated to who I think he is. If you had put him on the Clippers with less dominant personality, I think you would see more of who he is. But on a team where you're dealing with either three superstars, like, well, at least three high-level players, one megastar and two stars, because KD is a level above those guys, even though right now he's not getting the respect that he deserves. As crazy as that sounds for a guy as decorated as he is. And then you look at the situation with LeBron and Russ and that awkwardness where he's got to hold people's hands and cater to people's egos because some people should be on the bench more than they realize. You're never really in control when you're dealing in those environments. So you look at what's going on right now, and now they're saying there was an incident where he was never really truly respected. It's always the guys giving him a hard time that should be taking a lesser role or a different role than what they perceive themselves to be. That's just my opinion from the outside looking in. I don't know really truly the nuances in the player's perspective of why they're acting the way they do. I'm fully aware at this age that people do things for reasons, and it's not just out of nowhere. And things can get left into misinterpretation when it's not communicated directly. And the older I get, I'm learning that myself. You just got to deal with people on a straight up level and let it be what it's going to be. So, KD, it seems to be this theme. It's really 0 for 4. That's right. I said 0 for 4, despite the decorated resume that he's established for himself, most notably two-time champion, two-time MVP in the finals, multiple crazy accolades. It just keeps on ending the same way, and it keeps on this reoccurring theme of people second-guessing him. He should be up there with the Birds and the LeBrons, and instead he just looks like the martyr in everyone else's storyline. OKC, I tell people all the time, starting with the Thunder when he first got to the league, despite winning Rookie of the Year, for some reason they draft Russ. He wasn't heralded the same way. I don't think Russ was even really a starter. And I'm not going to get too much into it because I think we all know the story by now. But KD ultimately, at the end of the day, nobody else would have been able to develop the way they did, the way Russ did. There would be no other superstar he could have coexisted with like KD. No one else would have been as gracious enough to give him the room to experiment and to find himself the way KD did. And even when it became clear there was a power struggle, KD was the one who said, you can keep everything. I'm going to go over here on some Jerry Maguire, Steve Jobs type thing and say, you can have it all. Don't trip. I'm going to go where it better suits me. And that's ultimately the only reason why I think the Golden State Warriors work better, because it was an open, free flow offense. Now, did KD have his moments where he was behaving in the manner in which Russ was behaving? Absolutely. In Golden State, sure did. But ultimately, the big picture was that it was a team conscious effort of moving the ball around. And they had that with KD and with the KD in the Warriors, and why they won rings. And then afterwards, they continue to stockpile rosters for Steph, and he won some more rings. And now the narrative is somehow like the two even compare. You can put KD on an island and he'll come back leading the pack. Steph needs a lot of things to go in his favor. You see, he's not in the playoffs this year, but we're not going to talk about that. For all the, Steph carried KD. KD has never needed anybody really to get to the playoffs. He's a guaranteed 35 to 50 on his own. That's irresponsible. But, people are going to push their narratives however they want. So whenever that situation boiled over, he goes to the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie and James Harden. That situation soured. Long story short, he leaves that one unceremoniously. Obviously, it didn't help. Kyrie had a lot of off-the-court stuff. James was not focused completely on basketball either. Both of them have seemed to get their focus right. And now he goes to Phoenix, and they basically assemble a roster that's basically a glorified Brooklyn Nets. And so now, back to square one. People questioning his legacy, people questioning the big three. You got reputable NBA pages using the same content. It was crazy last night watching this. They both copied someone copied someone, and they're both using the same graphic. Which big three disappointed more? They're the same team. There's no disappointment. There was no point guard. And the irony is, the team that Phoenix traded with in the offseason, and what we thought was to be a fleecing, Bradley Beal going from the Wizards, who once upon a time almost was the league leading scorer by like tenths of a point. He got out-edged by Steph Curry, KD's old running mate. So they swap out in a contract swap. Poor Chris Paul gets this poor franchise to the finals immediately. Return on investment. 3 years, got him to a finals. We don't know Phoenix for being in the finals like that. It's been since the early 90s, mid 90s. And he gets them there right away. How many guys you acquire them right away? The only thing I could remember was Rasheed Wallace with the Pistons. You get someone, immediately your team is a title contender, a title threat. And maybe if DeAndre Ayton was, more serious about basketball, who knows what they could have did, because that was the only big man I ever seen next to Chris Paul that didn't markedly improve. Like DeAndre Ayton was already that guy coming out of college. I believe he was the first overall pick. But with Chris Paul, look how much he did with Tyson Chandler and DeAndre Jordan. There's a laundry list of bigs that Chris Paul made from them from immediately markedly improving in his presence. So they trade Beal for Chris Paul's expiring contract. He's over there riding away because the Warriors are not the most natural fit. They're even more of an awkward fit than he was when he was with James Harden in Houston. All these guys are being moved around, mind you. All these names that have all been kind of recycled. And KD somehow always, is getting taken the brunt of the blame, even though he's head over heels better than all these players that we're mentioning. And so give Bradley Beal Chris Paul's number Chris Paul's watching the playoffs, seeing they don't have a point guard facilitator, because Beal and Book are more alike than they are different, and KD is KD, and you literally have him sometimes in the corner, which makes no sense because he's obviously an elite of elite players, scoring champion, 2-time MVP, Finals MVP, Rookie of the Year. Got him standing in the corner decoying on some PJ Tucker stuff, ex-Phoenix Sun. So what did the Suns end up doing? Okay, now Chris Paul's watching is like, damn, Mike Conley's on the Timberwolves. I'm 2 years older than he is, but I'm still just as good, if not better. And Bradley Beal played less games than Chris Paul in the regular season. Chris Paul had 58 games. Bradley Beal played 53, 52. Except one is 38 years old and the other is, I think, 28, 30. So 32 maybe? Markedly younger than Chris Paul for sure. So it's all just so toxic. So with all this being said, all this foundation, I want to make a proposal that I've been saying for years. The big problem right now is KD doesn't have the fans. He's got great looking shoes with Nike. He has the resume, but he doesn't have the fans. The Washington Wizards, I've been saying, pounding the table, get them, get them, get them. And it's funny because they even paired Beal with KD when KD should have went to the Wizards. I don't understand why he fights this. Oh, I don't want to be the hometown hero. Listen, bro, they're about to get sued by the city mayor because of alleged violations of the agreement for stadium relocation. Basic city of attorney told them they're not allowed to move. They have no head coach. Kyle Kuzma at this point is just chucking for dear life. You will be the greatest thing to happen to the DMV area, being a native from there, that has ever happened. Anything the Washington Redskins have done, anything college sports, even Melo at Syracuse, it would trump all that. Go home. You need the admiration and love of the fans. You're watching it in real time. Some players can ruin their careers at the end, and some can rewrite it. LeBron is being taken for granted right now being in LA. He needs to go back home to Cleveland. KD, you have a chance. All the bus went, but he went home to the Wizards and spent the end of his career there helping families. Everyone's grown now. People are who they are at this stage. You don't got to worry about, maybe when you were younger it would have been difficult. As a grown man, it's going to be easy for you to navigate through those waters. They need you, and you need them. It's a mutually understandable and beneficial partnership. I understand he has one more year left. Push your way out of there. It's ugly. It's messy. They need to rebuild. Book needs to be happy with whatever they do. And KD needs to get out of Phoenix. Go back home. It's the best move for everyone. All right, Utopians. I'll try to do better next time. Global. Out.